Hello, my name's Bev and I'm the author of the book Please Eat, A Mother's Struggle to Free Her Teenage Son from Anorexia, which describes our family's battle with the deadly eating disorder, anorexia nervosa, which my teenage son Ben developed back in 2009 when he was just 15 years old. The first few posts from August 2011 are a bit of a mixture, and the first post comes from the 2nd of August, and it's called "It's Not Funny How Certain Situations Can Cause Flashbacks." Ben's been cooking some scrumptious evening meals for us recently. That is, until tonight's meal, which turned out dry and average. So he took our plates back into the kitchen to make a few adjustments, leaving me at the dinner table for 5 minutes. Suddenly I was hit by a painful and dramatic flashback to how it would have been 12 months ago. Back then, any meal that wasn't perfect would have had Ben violently downing tools and leaving the room. Only he wouldn't have gone into the kitchen. He just slammed the plate down, rushed into the hallway and shouted and screamed animal style while banging his head on the wall. This would have been followed by lots more banging, crashing and swearing, plus more animal shouting, groaning and head banging. Meanwhile, I'd be sitting at the dining table, paralysed with fear and dread of what was coming next. It's not funny how your memory causes flashbacks and you suddenly feel how you felt in a previous situation. Maybe it's a bit like soldiers who have painful flashbacks when they hear something that sounds like an explosion or a gun firing. Suddenly you're back there reliving it, and all the bad memories, feelings and reactions come flooding back. I was also painfully aware of how the passage of time had desensitised my everyday memory of just how terrible it had been. Looking out of the window, watching a neighbour water her plants, while another walked her dog, I had another flashback to the realisation that, while the rest of the world was going on around us as normal, we had been living with a severe mental illness in a kind of nightmarish, surreal world, completely separate from everyone and everything else. Thankfully, tonight all Ben had been doing was adjusting the meal. He simply came back into the dining room, calm and normal, armed with 2 plates of tweaked lamb tangine. While I ate it, I was still having mental aftershocks, despite the fact that, to all intents and purposes, everything was completely normal. Oh, and of course, 12 months ago, Ben would never have touched fatty lamb with a barge pole. That's the end of that post. I'm wondering, having read this post now, whether that was the beginning of what eventually evolved into complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which I developed after Ben recovered. It was like a few years later, but yeah, bad news because it caused my flashbacks. Good news because Ben was improving, which at the end of the day was what we wanted from all of this. So thank you for listening. You'll find a link below to my blog, and you'll also find a link to my website where you can download free PDFs of my blog, and also a link to Amazon where you can buy a copy of my book.